Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Danaher, an Assistant Attorney General with the New York State Attorney General's Office. I'm out speaking at Cornell Cooperative Extension today for our Consumer Issues Program, which involves being a good consumer with the use of the Internet. The Internet is a great thing. It just really is a great thing. It takes us to wonderful places. We learn great things, expands our knowledge, allows us to get information that we wouldn't normally have been able to in the past. People can take college courses online. In fact, nowadays people can obtain a college degree without ever having physically gone into college campus because of everything that's available on the Internet, as well as shopping online. We're hearing all kinds of disruptors in the market about how purchasing is shifting, and so the economy is changing for better or for worse. We hear about how malls throughout the country are shutting down, or retail brick and mortar stores are leaving because we've morphed over into our shopping on the Internet. And people are becoming much more comfortable using the Internet. And principally, I'll talk about as far as comfortableness, our older senior citizens are becoming more comfortable use of the Internet. Younger people, it's a lot different because they grew up and their entire life has been with the use of the computer and on the Internet, where those of us who are older, we didn't have that experience. And so it's taken a little more time to get comfortable with the use of it, but people are becoming much more comfortable. Shopping, all kinds of things that are taking place on the Internet. And in addition to that, we have the scam artists have become very familiar with using the Internet. And I'll use a classic example because it's the #1 financial fraud that is occurring nowadays. Identity theft has even changed in some respects. It's become more easy for the scam artists to obtain our personal information through the use of the Internet. But also an interesting fact or circumstance is that use of credit cards. One of the big frauds is credit card fraud. People stealing credit cards and using the credit cards and purchasing things. And we've noticed that credit card issuers have noticed that and have come up with more protective measures. And the classic one, the most recent one, the one that seems to be most protective of us, is the use now of chip cards, where we have a chip, computer chip, embedded into the card itself that provides more security measures that the otherwise used just swipe with the magnetic tape on the back of the card. Well, scam artists have realized that it's not as easy to commit credit card fraud by trying to get a credit card and going to a store and swiping it and using it, because there's chips in these things now. So what's happened? Well, the statistics have shown that credit card fraud hasn't necessarily gone down that much. It has just switched. So now what's happening is we're finding that more credit card fraud is occurring online than through the use of the term being card in presence, or the presence of the card being used. Because what happens is if you go to the retail stores now, in most instances you have a chip reader, so you have to stick the thing in and wait for the 10 seconds it takes for it to be read and pulled out. So if somebody doesn't have that card, they're not going to be able to make the transaction. So what are they doing? They're stealing credit card information, and then they're going online. And as long as they have the information on the magnetic strip for the card, or the card number, if they have the expiration date and the CCV number that's on the back of the card, they can have a transaction without having the card present. And so it's shifting to where the credit card fraud now is morphed over to credit card frauds occurring more online than it is in the present. Again, just an example of how it's morphed over a period of time. But again, it's a wonderful thing. but we still need to be very careful with our use of the internet. We can't drop our guard, and if we do, we may be apt to give out information that we should not be giving out to people that we should not be giving it to. We're sending money to people that we don't know, purchasing things from someone that we don't know. And although it is a great thing, we still have to fall back to the adage that we've used here at Cornell Cooperative Extension for 20 years now, and that is we still need to be a good consumer. Still have to be a good consumer. So along with being a good consumer, it involves two things: knowing your rights, but also understanding we as consumers' responsibility to act appropriately as far as learning what we're doing, knowing what we're doing, and knowing our rights, using what laws are available for us and common sense to go out and have a useful engagement on the internet. One of the big areas where we talk about this and being a good consumer is buying things online. Now we can avoid lines. I hate going to the store. I hate going out shopping. You have to drive there. We have to get in line. We have to be able to compare prices. And it's so much easier if you just sit down. And as a matter of fact, it's the largest mall there possibly could be at your fingertips going online. Seeing, you can put in, if you have a model number, you can put in the product, the model number, everything. Hit a button and it'll give you a long list of where you can get that particular item and what the prices are. You can do, with a click or two, a evaluation of what critiques there are of a particular product or service. And as a matter of fact, it's more than just products that people are buying. People are buying services as well using the internet. So it really can be a valuable thing, but we do need to be good consumers. And one area is that we have to protect our privacy. We have to make sure that we're not giving out any of our personal information, which could be as simple as name and address, to as complicated as credit card numbers, to even such things as other personal information, mother's maiden names, your first dog's name, your favorite color, all those answers to those security questions that we frequently see. We do not give out to someone that we don't know. And when I say someone we don't know, it's anybody that we don't know personally and that we haven't been in contact with personally. Because there are instances where you may be contacted by someone you think you know or a business that you think you know, when in fact that person or business's identity has been stolen, and you think you're dealing with someone you know and it may not be, and you end up giving up personal information to those individuals, and who do we know that is? One of the most important things is, if we're going online or buying purchases, before we start entering our name, address, personal information, credit card numbers, all that stuff, make sure that you're on a secure site. Because if you give out that information on an unsecured site, I refer to it as almost like a cyber sneeze, where you go achoo with all of your personal information. It can be spread like germs throughout the internet. So a valuable way to look and tell if you're on a secure site when you are about to give out personal information, that's usually like the checkout portion of buying something, before, along the top where you have the URL name, make sure that the letters you see before the URL address is HTTPS. S stands for secure sign. Also, some web browsers down in the corner might have a lock that shows that it's locked, not a broken lock, or a key that's not a broken key, that also assists. But the best way, just look at the top, HTTPS, and make sure that you see the S for a secure site. Because what that does is it encrypts the data that you type in so that when it gets sent over the lines, it's encrypted and decrypted once it's received by the receiver, so that if anyone outside of that encryption is able to grab it, they're just going to grab gobbledygook. It won't be anything that they can identify. So you want to make sure that we use a site. Know who you're dealing with, and that would be important to get real-world information about this entity. Do they have a brick-and-mortar store? Do they have a physical address for them? I know that in some addresses you may see 45 Main Street, number 35, Ithaca, New York, the zip code. That address is made up, by the way, so I'm not giving out any particular address. The thing that you have to be aware of is that number 35 could actually just be a mail drop somewhere. And so the entity you may think has a physical address on Main Street in Ithaca, they may not. So check in to see if the entity can be located. You may want to check also with the Better Business Bureau, and that's very easy to do because you're already at your computer. Type in www.bbb.org, and you can actually do a search of a business. If you know where they're located and you just put in the name, if you have a zip code, that's great. If you have a city or town, that's great. Type it in and hit the button to where they will bring up what they have on that particular entity. And they make it easy on BBB because they attach a letter grade, like we're in school again, to A through F as to the reliability. You can also see how many complaints have been filed recently, and you can also see the nature of those complaints and what they are. And if you decide that you want to buy from a company, you do a BBB search and you look it up and you find out that they've had 25 complaints in the last 12 months, all dealing with delivery issues, that people weren't getting what they were supposed to be getting. That makes you a good consumer, and you're going to second guess yourself and say, I probably don't want to deal with this business if we have all those complaints. So that's a valuable way. You can also check the internet on reliability reports in there are other entities that have reliability reports. It's impossible to list them all. There's consumer websites, consumer scam websites and things that you can look them up and leave it to your ingenuity in finding all of those things. But you can get feedback. There may be feedback on that entity's own site that you're looking at. The only thing that I caution, just to be somewhat wary, is in this day and age of fake news and fake reports, you have to be concerned and just understand that some of those outside sites that are rating companies, there could be fake reports. Our office back in 2013 that we had an agreement with 19 companies that do ratings, that they will cease their practice of writing fake online reviews saying how great they are and everything when it turns out that they were fake. They had to pay $350,000 in penalties as well. And it was found that the companies flooded the internet with fake consumer reviews on websites such as Yelp, Google Local, City Search, and others. And it turned out that some of the companies that were creating fake online profiles were getting consumers to post reviews on websites, and they were paying freelance writers as far away as the Philippines, Bangladesh, and Eastern Europe for $1 to $10 per review that they would write. And producing fake reviews and that constituted, in many states, false advertising and illegal and deceptive business practices. So make sure that you take those reviews and look at them with a little bit of a skeptical eye. Not all are fake, and the industry is attempting to set up algorithms and have been more successful setting up algorithms to try to weed out some of those, but not in the buying sense, but you may have recently seen that our office has been in discussions with the FCC as the FCC is proposing regulations on net neutrality. And our office is very concerned that there's a comment period before the regulations are implemented or adopted. And our office has been concerned that many of the comments that are being sent to the FCC via the internet are fraudulent. And so we have to be very careful in the buying situation as well when we're doing our reviews. Are these people legitimate or not? Our office recommends that you stick with reliable vendors, understanding that just because something is cheaper doesn't necessarily mean that it's better. So be a wary consumer and a good consumer. Be wary of online auction sites. The online auction sites are really just like an auction house. They're the middleman. They're the ones that are the intermediary between bidders, buyers and sellers who are putting these things out for auction. It should be very careful about going outside of a reputable auction site and kind of skipping them and just dealing directly with the seller. Be very careful unless you know who the seller is. It's a good idea to use an escrow service, meaning that the money gets held by escrow and doesn't get delivered to the seller until the item is shipped or properly with the buyer. Keep copy, and this is a good idea online always, is to keep copies of what advertisements, descriptions of the item or service, what is being offered at a particular time, so that if the deal turns out to be more expensive or you don't get the item that you actually knew that you wanted to buy, you'll have a record of what it was that was posted online to show that this isn't what they said it would be. Another important thing, and this is true of a brick and mortar store as well, but online in particular, is know what the return policy is. Is there a restocking fee? What is it? How soon do you have to return it? Do you only get store credit, or are you able to get a refund? Another important thing is use a credit card to purchase the item. There are a lot of protections with the use of the credit card. And let's talk about what those transactions are. So you can have a cash transaction where you just hand over your cash to someone to sell you something. You've given away your cash. If the deal goes south and you've given away your cash, it's harder to go and get somebody to give you your money back. Or if you use a debit card, it's money that's being taken out of your bank account to purchase the particular item. If you use a credit card, what a credit card is really is a loan. It's the bank's money that's being used to purchase this thing. And then at the end of the billing cycle, you get a bill from your credit card company and you pay that bill. So if you use a credit card, you purchase something, and if it proves that you don't get it, you can challenge that charge on your credit card and have the charge reversed. You're not going out trying to get your money back because you haven't paid anything yet. It's the credit card. So I think it's a good idea if those of you that are active on purchasing things with the internet, that you have a credit card that you use just for purchases on the internet. It can have a small balance. Let's say you don't purchase anything more than $500. Just have that credit card that you use for the internet. That way, if something happens, the credit card gets stolen, the number gets stolen, and somebody tries to use it, you have a low credit balance, which helps protect. And you can immediately, upon discovering that, have that canceled, have that card canceled. And it doesn't affect your other purchases or what other credit cards you might use or anything like that. So that's really a good idea. So either use a credit card or try to arrange it so that you purchase things COD, so you pay cash on delivery. So that way you get it and you can pay it. Another thing is, let's talk about the reverse side of the transaction, selling things online. We are all becoming more comfortable using the internet to not only buy things, but to sell things. People are going on places such as Craigslist or other eBay sites to sell your stuff. It could be someone who's undertaking the job as a merchant and selling things and selling it online, or it could be as simple as somebody who wants to sell some spare things that they have in their house. They have a bed that they want to sell. People have to be very careful. It's been my experience that when people are offering things on Craigslist, and this has come back to me repeatedly from friends, even that I've talked to that have sold things, and have had successful transactions. I don't want to downplay that. They have successful transactions. But I know that most of the people I've talked to who have offered something online to sell on Craigslist, at least one of the responses that they've received from that Craigslist ad is a scam. It's someone who's offering to buy their item, and what they'll do is they'll send a fake check. They'll send a check, usually for more money than what the item is being offered for. So let's say you're selling puppies, and they're selling them for $300. Somebody will be in contact with you to buy a puppy, and they'll say, I have some money that's being owed to me, and rather than send it to me, they're going to send it to you, and it'll be $600. They'll send you. So just go and cash the check, and I'll make arrangements to get the puppy. And then you can send me the extra money that's left over for the puppy. Okay, good. Shortly thereafter, the person gets a check, goes down to their bank, deposits the check, waits a day, shows that their bank account's $600 higher. They're in contact with the person who supposedly sent the check, and it says, send me the extra $300. You can just wire that to me. Or go down to Walmart or Target or any host of stores, drugstores, whatever, and buy cash cards totaling $300. And then either wire the money to me or give me the numbers on the cash cards, and then I'll make arrangements for my friend to come by and pick up the dog. No friend ever comes to pick up the dog. And what ends up happening is you deposited a check, you wired out or gave out cash cards to someone, and then you find out a few days later, week later, that the check you deposited bounced because it was a stolen check or a fake check or something like that. Just understand there's the possibility that that could happen, and be very wary. I recommend to people, if they're using Craigslist or something along like that, is you would serve yourself well if you only sold it to someone who is local and who will come and pick the item up and give you the money. Otherwise, if you're going to have to ship it out, it may be fine, the transaction may work, but you're going a long way along that continuum of potentially getting scammed, the more impersonal the transaction actually is. So that is a recommendation. Be very careful about these fake checks. It's even been known, and I think it happened at one point in the Ithaca area, even those who are renting homes, the owner of the home, if they're renting it and they get a fake check, that's one thing. Or actually people who are selling their homes that get listed on multiple listing services. Scam artists will sometimes pull those listings and list it out on the internet under Craigslist or one of a whole host of other sites, saying a house for rent, X number of dollars. And I know here in Ithaca that we have a huge transient population in the nature of students. There's a lot of student housing here. And it's been known that students from out of the country, across the country, whatever, will be coming to Cornell or Ithaca, and they'll say, I got to find a place to live. And they're so used to using the internet that they find that, this looks like a great house. It'd be perfect for me. And they pay what we typically think, pay the first month's rent, a security deposit, maybe the last month's rent, send a check in. They show up the day before classes start, and they find out the place is not for rent at all. So just a word to the wise that we have to be very skeptical about these sorts of things. I've always thought that a good adage is, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So use that. So people have to be very careful. The adage has always been, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And that especially is true when it comes to the use of the internet. And when we think about the use of the internet, what is possibly the weakest link toward protecting ourselves on the internet and the use of computers? And undoubtedly, that is passwords. We need to use very robust passwords. I pulled a relatively recent article from the Wall Street Journal that talked about ways to create better and stronger internet passwords. One rule is make it long. And longer, the better. Use combinations of letters, numbers, uppercase and lowercase, and symbols, such as exclamation points, number signs, the ampersand, intermixed. It's not a good idea to use a word in a dictionary. If you have a word that's in a dictionary, there are programs out there, because we know how fast the computer is. There are programs out there that do password, they're called password crackers. They can crack a password, and they can run through a dictionary like that. So we have to be very careful to try and make long, unrecognizable kind of passwords, but then I also recognize the fact that how do you remember a password like that? Well, there's a new thought or a new theory that's out there now that says there's a better way to create a password. And the best way I'm hearing now and reading about studies that are showing is to use phrases rather than a password. So pick a phrase that you can use. One, it's easy to remember. And two, with spaces and with, if you include in that phrase numbers and symbols, all the better. And in my mind, it's easier to remember a longer phrase than it is to remember a long password, which is one word. So they're saying now that is the way to go. So avoid easy to use words. Again, those that are a dictionary. Never reuse your passwords. And I know nobody will listen to me about this, but I will say it anyway. Just I feel like it's my obligation. Change your passwords on a relatively frequent basis. And corollary to that, don't use the same password for more than one access. Don't use the same password for your banking, for access to your internet, because then it turns into the golden key. If one person gets their hands on that, all of a sudden they have the key to everything online. Again, I know that a lot of people aren't going to follow my advice with respect to that. However, if you could do me one favor, and that is, at the very least, keep the passwords that you use for your finance transactions access to your bank account, access to your credit card accounts. Keep those separate from others that you might use and, although I'm not advising it, may repeat. So if you want to have access to a particular website or something that you wouldn't necessarily be buying things on, and you have a couple of websites that you like to access that way, for information purposes only, not to buy things, yeah, maybe, I don't recommend it, but maybe you repeat those or tweak them a little bit so that they're slightly different so that they can't be used. But for your financial transaction, your bank account, pick a password, use it for that and that only. Do not use it for anything else. You'll go a long way toward protecting yourself if that's the case. And if you have more than one bank account and want access online, use 2 different passwords for the 2 different accounts that they are. Because then if somebody gets their hold, God forbid, one of them, they don't have access to the other one. So that's a good way. So PINs and passwords are crucial. Don't pick anything that would be associated with you. Now, those of us that have ATM cards, and you go to the ATM machine and you, punch in a couple of numbers, 4 numbers, and all of a sudden the machine starts spitting money at you. Great thing. I can harken back to the days when I was in school, and I had to make sure that I got to the bank by 3 o'clock on Friday, or I didn't have any money for the weekend. Now, you can get money in the middle of the night, any night of the week, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, just by going up to a machine, putting a card in, and numbers spits out. So you can imagine if somebody gets their hands on that card and can attach a PIN number to you, that they can go and drain your bank account. So you can't use a PIN number that can be associated with you. And on top of that, don't use a PIN number that is so easy for you to remember that any human alive could come up with it, like 1111. Or what I read one time that people use, 60% of people use sequential numbers as their PIN. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the first numbers that if you drop your ATM card somewhere and some thief grabs it, that's the first 4 numbers they're going to try. Also, if they're able to get a hold of your wallet and you are what's the term? I don't want to say anything derogatory, but if you are not smart enough to leave your Social Security card home and you put it in your wallet and carry it around with you, if somebody gets a hold of your wallet and they have the ATM card, they're trying the last 4 digits of your Social Security number, guaranteed. Or they're going to try the last 4 digits of your telephone number if they can look that up. You have to use something different than what can be associated with you. Maybe it was an old number of a friend of yours that you remember from 20 years ago, or something. If that's what you need to recall, then good. But use something that nobody who gets their hands on that card can identify with you, and you'll go a long way toward helping to protect yourself. The next thing that I also want to talk about is staying safe online, because the use of the internet, like we talked about before, is used for more than just purchases. It is, use it for my example. I'm not a big Facebook social media person. I don't do Instagram and I don't do Pinterest, but I have a LinkedIn account. I do have a Facebook account. I have a Twitter account. I don't know that I have posted anything on Twitter ever, but I have it because I like to see what's going on. Same thing with Facebook. I don't really post very often, every once in a while, but I don't spend a lot of time doing that, but I do look at it every day to see who's doing what, and it is unbelievable. The algorithms that Facebook and LinkedIn and all these places have, that I've hooked up with people who were friends of mine 30 years ago that I haven't seen in 30 years. And all of a sudden, their name pops up on Facebook saying, you may know this person. I'm like, holy mackerel, how would that know that I would know that person? But through the algorithms of other friends and things like that, it comes up and you go, wow, I really like to talk to him. It's been a long time. So it is a great thing. But it can also be used for nefarious purposes. So be very careful. Do not give out personal information online. I'll use some examples, such as don't post your vacation pictures in the Bahamas until after you get back, because then you're telling everyone who has access to your Facebook account, hey, the house is free. Don't accumulate friends. I'm using the Facebook term, friends. I don't know what other social media sites would call them, but contacts, I guess. Don't just accept every contact that wants to contact you. You may not know who that person is. I suggest that you limit access to any of your social media to people that you know, that only you trust to have access to. And do not be posting any personal information, where you are, what your address is. Especially those of you who are out watching this and have kids or grandkids, be very careful about what your children and grandchildren are posting online. There are predators out there that are exploiting the use of these social media sites that can get our kids in trouble. So be very careful with allowing them to use those things. Again, it's great for contacts and getting information, but have to be very careful about that. It is a great way to communicate, but know who you're dealing with. Just because somebody wants to be your friend doesn't necessarily mean that you can make them your friend. I'm very judicious in my accepting invitations for friends. It may look like I don't have many that way, but that's fine with me, so that it goes a long way toward protecting myself. Again, the internet is a wonderful thing. We use it for all types of things. I'm a regular purchaser online, and I mean, what great thing is 2 days later it's sitting on my front step. It may even be something that I can't even get in a local store, but I could get it. It really is a great thing. But we have to be good consumers when it comes to using the internet. I hope that all of you will have an enjoyable time on the use of the internet and as a great resource, but really be wary of your use and be careful with your use. If anybody has any questions related to this topic or any other topics, and I would invite you to go to the Attorney General's website at www.ag.ny.gov, and there's a whole host of booklets and materials and press releases of things that our office has done that might give you some guidance related to this or any other consumer-related issue. For those of you out in TV land watching us, come join us. We are here on the second Thursday of every month at Cornell Cooperative Extension on Willow Avenue at 11 a.m. It's always great when people come and join us. We like to have people come, ask questions. They'll raise issues that I hadn't thought about before, and we can address those. So please come join us. We're here to help you, and we hope that for those present, we're in the midst of the holiday season. I wish you all happy holidays, happy New Year coming up, and hope that we will see you again sometime. Thank you.